Welcome everybody. Niamh has asked me to step in. Unfortunately, she had to go to something this evening, so she's not able to chair it. So this is the first time we've tried this town hall meeting. Its purpose, I suppose, is to let people know what and the Blackwater Triathlon Club is, what we do, and how we go about doing it. And then if there's any suggestions for how we can do things better, or people who want to raise their hand and help out, that will be fantastic too. So I know that Niamh this is being recorded, so hopefully it'll hit a wider audience than just Blackwater Triathlon Club. It might hit members who are people who are thinking of becoming members, and we would encourage everybody to do so, I suppose. First of all, I suppose Blackwater Triathlon Club is a very, very vibrant club based out of Fermoy, but kind of pulling people from all over kind of the North Cork area. It focuses on the three disciplines of swimming, biking, and running, though some people just partake in one of those disciplines, others take part in many of them, and some of them compete competitively, and others just do it to be part of a club and for it to be social and friendly, and we hope to tick all those boxes, and I think we largely do. But so I'm not going to spend the whole evening speaking. So I know that there are a number of different people kind of lined up to kind of explain what's involved in each of those disciplines: swimming, biking, and running. So I'll start off by, I suppose, giving people an idea of what's involved from the biking front. So myself and some others in the club, many others in the club, kind of are involved in delivering kind of the cycling kind of, I suppose, agenda. That agenda is kind of like, so I rely heavily on people like Sean Lamastney, the route planners, Donal, Brian, and everybody else. So effectively, coming into this new year, we have a turbo sessions being set up for the indoors, particularly when we can't go outdoors because the weather is either too wet or too cold or whatever. So we try and put on at least 3 biking days during the week. So typically that would be a Tuesday, a Thursday, and some day at the weekend. So we're very lucky in that we have a coach, Paddy McLaughlin. He's from Donegal, and he lays on 3 turbo sessions. These are indoor biking sessions, effectively. They are designed to start from a kind of, I suppose, a low to medium base, and then to increase our levels of fitness, so that by the time April, May comes around, we're ready for the outdoor kind of biking season. So to be part of that and to have those 3 turbo sessions delivered to your inbox every week, it's just a question of signing up. There's a fee of €18 for 14 weeks, 3 sessions, which is extremely good value. So that's probably the cornerstone of the kind of midweek cycling during this kind of spring period, or winter spring, I suppose. So for January, February, March, and April, that's kind of will keep us busy from a cycling perspective. However, turbo can be a bit monotonous, and we are very keen to be out on the road as much as possible. So on Saturdays, every Saturday during kind of winter and spring, we will be out, weather permitting. So in the darker mornings, we start at 9. When it gets a bit brighter, we start at 8, and we aim to do about a 2 to 2.5 hour cycle. Those cycles are pitched at different levels. So depending on your fitness, what you're into, what you want, kind of the effort you want to put in. So typically we aim to have 3 groups. This is quite challenging to do that, because it needs a critical mass of people to do that. So we need to have a critical number in each group and people to lead each of those groups. So there's a little bit of planning involved in that. So, but it is by far and away, I feel, the best way to get to know people and to just kind of build up your confidence getting out on the road is to be part of those Saturday cycles. It's where you get to ask people questions about kind of how to do X, Y, Z, what are you doing, and just getting to know people in general. So if I was to, that's the very first introduction, kind of, if you ever wanted to become part of this club, or you want to kind of maybe explore doing more cycling, that is where you'd kind of try and start. So that's every Saturday morning, weather permitting, we will have a 2 to 2.5 hour cycle, which generally culminates in coffee back in the Prairie, where we kind of tell tales about kind of what went on. So that's typically what's involved, I think, from a cycling perspective. Later on in the year, we try and hit, when the weather gets better, we have a midweek cycle. We introduce a midweek cycle because we drop the turbo sessions. And we also kind of seek to do kind of a couple of day trips. They might be organized, it might be the Tour of Beara, or we might target events like that, or we might try and organize something ourselves. So they're the type of things that we kind of generally do. Could we do it better? I'm sure we could, and all those suggestions would be gratefully heard. But I think we're largely successful at kind of hitting the kind of good, friendly, sociable group, with groups that we hope are targeted at different abilities, and we try and leave no man behind and include as many people as possible. So that's kind of what happens from a cycling perspective. I don't know if there's anybody on there that would kind of maybe, I suppose, who started recently and might have kind of done a bit of turboing or been out with us and stuff like that, and have anything to add in terms of how they found it and stuff like that. If there is, speak now. If not, we'll move on and we might deal with all of that at the end if you prefer.
Yeah, just on the turbo there, the value is unbelievable. It's very, very good. Like €18, it's some serious value there for like 3 or 4 months. Must admit that. So it's really good.
Yeah, no, I'd absolutely agree with that. It's very, very good. I think the key is to try and be as consistent as possible in terms of getting through the plan and stuff like that. You're going to miss days, don't beat yourself up, but to try and be as consistent at hitting as many as possible, because that's where the true progression kind of comes from, I think. But I think it is absolutely, like, it's less than €1 per session, definitely. It's just over €1 per week. So it's less than 50 cents a session. So really good value. So I'd really would encourage people to consider signing up to that. There is a bit of kit involved. And if anybody's like you do clearly need a bike and you need a turbo trainer and stuff like that. But if anybody's interested, maybe reach out and contact me afterwards and we can see what's possible, because the club does own a number of turbos. I don't know if they're all out there. Sean Lamassney looks after all of those very well. Sean is sunning himself in the Canaries at the moment, so he's not around today, but we will try and sort as many people out as we possibly can. So that's cycling. Then Declan, will I hand over to you maybe to give people a rundown on what we offer and how we offer it in terms of the swimming?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll have a few pictures for people to look at. I don't know, are you able to see that?
Yeah. Superb, Declan, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, let's see there now. Yeah.
Declan went all out. Dave, where's your slides?
Slightly underprepared now.
All right, I got your faces big. I was just looking at my slides there for a minute. I lost all your faces, but that's fine. Yeah, my name is Declan O'Keefe and I organise the swimming. And I'll just get there. I can drive the money on that. That's great. Right. Okay. Right. So you've got the training sessions up there now at the moment.
Yep, perfect.
I've got so many screens on here and there's so many things showing up in the, I don't know what's up. Right. Our training sessions, we've got 4 sessions a week running at the moment until the end of May. The sessions cost about €6 per session, but we kind of encourage people to pay up front because we have to organise them and organise the coaches and book the swimming pool, etc. So we run those until June, and then during the summer we just run a Monday night session. The idea behind that is if you're just swimming open water all the time, it tends to affect your performance. So if you want to keep the speed up, a few people like to do Monday nights. And again, then in the autumn, we go back to 4 sessions per week. And on the sessions then, all levels are welcome. The pool is broken down with 5 lanes. We've 2 beginners lanes, 2 advanced, and an intermediate lane. Equipment required, just togs, fins, and goggles. I mean, the fins, if you have them. I suppose the other thing then is we have trial sessions. So anybody who's just even thinking about coming along, come along. You can go into the beginners lane and just see what's going on, and we wouldn't worry about the fins for the moment. Sometime in February, I'll sort of gauge the interest in a survey in the next week or so. See if we have an interest. We will do a special Sunday afternoon session. We've done these in the past with specialist coach, and they've been popular and it works out quite well. It's probably an hour to 2 hour session just focusing on stroke technique. And I put in the I'm too old because I think a lot of people say, gee, I'm too old now to be starting swimming. But I think in our club, we've got a few examples of people who started 3 or 4 years ago, could hardly swim. They were in the beginners lanes, could hardly swim. And over the last couple of years who have progressed. And I suppose one of those is Anne Furlong. And she's seen here coming out of the Lee swim. I can remember when she did her first lap of the reservoir, which is 500 meters. And that was the celebration. But you can see her here now. She's just completed the Lee swim, which is just short of 2K. And then the other photograph is the gang of people who completed the Limerick Island swim, which is 5K. And she's come on leaps and bounds. And we have another example of that then is Peter O'Brien, who was also a beginner a few years ago. He did the Ironman last summer, and he did the 4K swim in, and he was just over an hour, which is pretty impressive as well. Our coaches, we have Nick is our coach on Monday nights. Julian is on Wednesday, Joe on Thursday, and we have 2 backup coaches in case anyone if they're unavailable or sick or whatever. All our coaches are Swim Ireland trained, and I suppose Nick on Monday night, he's swimmer all his life, very keen competitive swimmer. He coaches clubs in Cork as well. Julian, he's also a Swim Ireland coach, and he does a lot of coaching for Swim Ireland during the summer. And he looks after our Wednesday night, and he actually takes some of our summer open water sessions above in the reservoir and introduces people to the reservoir and the river, etc., which is great. And Ger Bowles, he coaches Mallow as well as here for us in Fermoy. I suppose to go on then to during the summer, we just switched down to 1 session on Monday nights, and the rest is pretty much open water. And just thought I'd share some of the pictures of the open water locations. On the left there, you have Ballydrone, which is that's just 1 kilometre up from the Weir in Clondalane. It's a beautiful part of the world. One on the right is Glanmert, which is a very nice place to swim. And another photograph there, we have Julian coaching one of the sessions above in the reservoir. And the other photograph is a very nice picture of the viaduct, which you have to be a swimmer to see it like that. Then also during the summer, we have a lot of open water events. Black and white photograph there is the Shorkin to Baltimore. That's people just finishing it. And then on the right, you've got the Fastnet Rock. A gang of us organised a boat trip out to the Fastness Rock and swam around it during the summer, which is pretty good. That was quite an eventful day. It's very nice. During the summer, then we have the Vibes and Scribes Lee Swim. This year, it's on the 1st of July. For the last, I think, 3 or 4 years that it ran, the Blackwater Tri Club, we won the team event. And that's one of the ones we really push and encourage people to take part in. Sandy Cove Island is another one that's another popular one in the club. Of course, the big thing we had during the summer was the Ironman. Some of our swimmers did very well in that. And we had Union Hall. The island swim there is the Limerick swim. It's a 5K. And also Garnish Island. We actually had 2 Garnish Island swims this year. And I mean, Garnish Island it's a beautiful island to swim around. And for Garnish Island, you've got a 1K, 3K, and 5K option. So there's something for everybody there. And on special swims, this is the Great Blackwater Swim. We ran first in 2017 and ran in 2018, but because of lack of water, we can't run it at the moment, but we hope to be back in 2025. So that's it. Any questions?
Perfect. Thanks very much, Declan.
Right.
Appreciate that. I think that gives people a good flavour of the very active. Like, to be honest, the coaching sessions there, I think, are really, really good. The coaches are top quality, and like, if people are interested in swimming, I definitely would encourage people. There's always huge demand actually for a lot of these swim sessions, so you need to kind of make sure you get booked in early. I don't know, is Adrian on the call to talk about the running?
Oh, sorry, I am. Sorry.
Very good. Hi, Adrian.
It's a little bit late.
No, you're perfect. Perfect.
I don't have any presentation. I didn't realize there was a requirement for a presentation.
I didn't either, Adrian, so you're grand.
I thought it was easier to do it this way.
I'm sick of presentations. Anyway, sorry, I should say I'm sick of giving presentations. I can very quickly kind of run through the run training. Sorry, so I should introduce myself. My name is Adrian, and I help organize the run training sessions for the club. Just to kind of give like a brief kind of, you know, what our goal is to provide like a training facility for our triathletes, for running in particular, for the triathlon season. So like our coach is Ger Vols, who is also one of our swim coaches, and what we kind of try to aim for is sessions that are aimed towards like a triathlete who has like already got a pretty big training load, and really needs like a specialized like triathlon program to kind of augment the rest of the training that's going on. So Ger kind of organizes the training so that it's kind of I think the term is periodized. So it kind of syncs up with the swim sessions, and it kind of syncs up with the bike sessions as well. So it kind of tries to complement whatever else is going on. So just to like try to take it from the top. So the group is kind of spearheaded by Ger. So Ger is our coach. We are starting back training a little bit later than everybody else next week, on the 19th, I think it is. So it's a Thursday evening, Thursday the 19th, I think. We meet every week, every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. in St. Coleman's Pitch for a coached session. So that's typically a speed session. So you kind of do kind of high intensity training. That can be things like there's various different drills. There can be like hill sprints, or there can be like just along the flats, doing various different reps. We do like a full warm up, and we do like a calisthenic warm up as well. And Ger normally gives us some like back information about what we're trying to achieve in the training session. and then we kind of do it. The nice part of the training session, I think, is that it's kind of available to everybody. They're normally reps, so the group tends to kind of stick together. So you should get like plenty of motivation and plenty of like other people around your level if you're thinking of joining. And like for anybody who hasn't done this kind of training before, I can say from my own personal experience, doing like the high intensity stuff, it's super beneficial. Like it's hugely beneficial. Like from small time allocation. So if you're kind of time poor, if you have stuff going on in your life, these sessions are like highly effective at like getting your stamina up and getting your race speed up. So highly recommend that. So we meet as a group every Thursday evening. One thing just to kind of call out there, this is something that a couple of us do. We call it Super Thursday. So we do the run session, and then afterwards we do the swim session in the pool. So again, for those of us who are a little bit more time poor, it's a great way to pack in 2 training sessions in a single evening. And I think for somebody who's like looking into the race season, excuse me, having those 2 like sessions back to back gives you a good kind of sense for like a race ahead. So it kind of gives you a good your body a good workout. Highly recommend it. It's a great way of like of getting 2 sessions in. Aside from the coach session, then every week so he sends out three sessions on the WhatsApp group every week. So that includes the coach session. So in case you missed that coach session, you can do it in your own time. And 2 additional sessions then, which are normally like a tempo session, which again is like kind of designed to get your I guess your race pace up, and a long run. So like the long runs are typically done at the weekends in your own time. So it's kind of useful for you to have those sessions in front of you. Other things that we try to do, so as a group, we normally try to like identify like a club race or a group race that we can train towards. In the past, or last year at least, I think we targeted the Mallow 10. This year it's going to be Dungarvan 10, which I hope somebody can help. I think it's in February, March, I'm not sure. Anyway, like really great way to target your training, right? So like early in the season, gets you kind of focused on something in the near term, and it's a really nice social scene too. So we normally get kind of good enough numbers. It's not just like people in part of the run training, like the whole club kind of people tend to like come along to that one organized event. And I think actually this year for Dungarvan, for people who don't know, I think Rachel is trying to organize like a social gathering afterwards. So there may or may not be a bus, but there will definitely be identify like a pub or a restaurant or something for people to meet up afterwards. So just like another like nice social aspect to it. Other things. This is a thing that we try to do, but we at least we have done it the last couple of years, where we tried to do like a club event. So the last 2 Christmases we've done like a Blackwater Christmas relay inside in St. Coleman's pitch, again actually around the track, and they're like really good fun. So it's just like a social race, not race, but totally turns into a race, where again we try to we kind of create teams that are like inclusive of people's abilities, different abilities, so everybody kind of gets to race. It's a really fun thing. I would say like just like, you know, I guess closing arguments. We normally have like a really supportive, really inclusive group of all different levels of ability. We've had, you know, I think I'd like to say like people get a lot out of it. Jura is a super knowledgeable, and anybody who goes, you know, gets a lot out of those sessions. We are this season, we're training is, as I said, starting next week. We're going to take it for like a 10-week block. and I think it's, Michael, I think it's 21 euros, right? Hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Yeah, and so yeah, everybody's welcome. If anybody has any questions, you can, or you're welcome to ping me on the side. And yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Adrian. I appreciate that. So I know people, yeah, particularly seem to get a lot of benefit from JER sessions, and the Super Thursday kind of certainly seems to be a very popular one in the club. So absolutely touch base with Adrian if you're interested in getting more involved in the running side of things. One other thing that I didn't mention on the cycling, actually, if you don't mind going back to it, is actually there is a group of people who are kind of, I suppose, for people who prefer the old style turbo, not smart turbos. They kind of meet together, and it's very, very sociable, tough enough sessions, but you get great bang for buck. I know, Declan, you're involved in that, and that's kind of a turbo group. They meet every Tuesday evening around 7 o'clock, I think, in the youth centre.
Yeah.
And they're moving to the swimming pool later in the year, but they're really good sessions for people who might not want to be getting involved in technology, low tech. Just get on a turbo, meet a group of people, and have a really good workout for an hour. So that's another training session that's on offer as well. So they're the three discipline guys. I know, Terry, do you want to kind of talk about, so as we also are organising a training weekend away in Limerick, and I know Terry has been doing a lot of good work behind the scene to organise that. So Terry, do you want to have a quick recap that's involved there?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Just a quick note, I suppose the 1st and 2nd of April, we call it a training weekend, but it's really only one night away. It's a Saturday night. So what we plan is we have a coach swimming session in UL pool for 2 hours, starting at 11 a.m. So it's plenty of time to travel up that morning. We have a coach session. As I said, it's actually on the 50-meter pool. So we don't get many chances to swim in the 50-meter pool, so it is ideal. The plan then is grab some lunch, quick lunch, maybe for about an hour, and then we will go on a cycle. It depends, probably maybe it varies from 2 hours to 3 hours. It depends. We can have maybe 2 or 3 groups, depending on the people that go to the weekend. That night, well, I suppose the accommodation, we're staying Castletroy Park Hotel, so if people who want to stay, so a room sharing is 110 euros per person. Now that's B&B and evening meal that night, or for people that want to share with 3 in a room, it's 85 quid. So look, personally, I think it's very good value. So yeah, dinner in the hotel that night, and maybe a few drinks at the bar, whatever. And then we're back, running session at 10 o'clock on the running track, again coached. And now if people want to go on a long run themselves, they can do that. And you can do it in around UL, or we'll do a track session, and then we're back in the pool. I'm not sure. I think I think we're back in the pool at 12 for a 2 hour, another 2 hour swim session. Everything's wrapped up. The whole thing is finished, you know, at 2 o'clock on the Sunday afternoon, so you can make it back. So I suppose I'm just putting it out there. It's catering for all levels. And look, like that again, you don't have to do the 2 hour swim session. You might want to do an hour. Look, the weekend is totally up to yourselves, how much you want to do, how much you don't want to do, but still in all, it's good value for money, and I suppose that's what I'll just put it out there, you know.
Just question there, Terry. I said, yeah, I think you said the price there, 110 per person.
Yeah.
In the double room and 85 for the triple room. Does that include, obviously you mentioned meals and the overnight. What about the pool sessions, you know, the cycle, the running, all that stuff? Is that separate costing, or is that?
No, to be fair, the club are going to cover that.
All right. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. It's excellent. Yeah.
So all you're paying for is to look after yourself. Sleep and feed yourself.
yeah.
Now, to be fair, I was trying to include lunch on the Saturday, but the hotel have come back with a stupid price for soup and sandwiches. But I do know that there's a nice garage up the road from UL that you'll get a soup and a sandwich for a £5 or whatever you want to eat, or if you want to go back to the hotel. But they were charging 15 quid, which was ridiculous. Which made no sense when we're getting such a good deal with B&B and dinner. It just didn't make any sense to me, you know. Now, I suppose I'll just put it out there. Spaces are getting tight, so if anybody wants to go to the weekend, don't be disappointed. Stick your deposit on, and look, you know, I know people are probably a bit tight in January, but if you want to send myself or Ken Power a text that you're interested and you can pay at the end of the month, so be it. But just get your name on the list, you know.
Very good. Thanks for that, Terry. Sounds like absolutely cracking value, to be honest. And like, I think kind of the key part of it is like it's a very good weekend away, coach sessions, but there's a real sociable angle to it as well, and it's a great way of getting to know kind of club members and having a bit of crack, without losing sight of clearly kind of all the various disciplines that we will kind of be engaging with over the weekend as well.
Yeah, well, it would be one of the first social events that we'll probably have this year, unless the Dungarvan one goes ahead. The other thing I'd have to say is the Joey Hannon is 3 weeks later, so we will definitely be taking, well, you are obviously going to be swimming in the pool. We'll definitely be taking in the cycle routes and the run route. Well, the run route is around UL anyway, so you'll be very familiar with the course. If you want to do the Olympic or the sprint, you'll know what's in front of you.
Perfect, Terry. Thanks very much. Mike, I don't know, do you want to have a quick chat about kind of I suppose the new world according to Mike in terms of how to sign up and everything like that? I'm hoping people will be familiar with that. No, but maybe just to give just a very quick synopsis on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so obviously we very late last year introduced probably a new payment system. I suppose just makes us a bit more efficient. Everybody's given their time freely in the club, and it's just about to do that easier and track who signed up, who was paid. I suppose a thing to say there as well, because obviously people are putting money up front, is, you mean, like the weekend, the UL training weekend, I noticed the 1st, 2nd of April is quite a bit time away. Circumstances might change for someone. I don't think the club's going to hold a gun to anyone's head, you know, if they have to pull out, you know, a few days before, provided we can probably get someone to fill the space, you know. Like, I think it may be feasible to give money back in certain circumstances, so don't leave that deter you from signing up because you're not 100% sure about your availability on that weekend. That's kind of really it, really, on that process, really. I suppose we'll look at maybe how we can ease the pain a bit, because coming into January, there's a big demand for cash flow for activities in the club. So, you know, I'm going to kind of see if I can address that somehow, whether maybe people can buy vouchers earlier in the year, you know, come September, maybe say, look, I can buy a €100 voucher from the store. I'll have that set aside and you can offset it in against your activities in January. It's just the thought process at the moment. I haven't thought much about it, but look, we will look at trying to ease the pain there a small bit. That's really it.
Perfect.
Yeah, just I was going to say there, just on the Yogalates, I suppose I'm not the person to talk about it because I'm not the instructor or whatever, but just to let people know that it did run last year and is commenced again this year. The uptake has been very strong in it. I suppose we had to turn down a few people at the end of the day. Possibly we may have been able to run a second session, but I suppose it was just too late in the day to kind of call that. A lot of the people who did it last year have signed up again. I suppose the focus really is all about making the body stronger, you know, heading into the triathlon season, injury-free, really, you know. I think it's done wonders for me. You know, you do feel it when you come out of there, that core, strengthening that core for stability. I suppose it's like anything, you know, I mean, your upper body, your arms or legs are probably going to be strong, but that core also needs to be strong, you know, to make you more efficient when you're swimming and biking and running, you know. So it's probably something for people to think about when it does come around the next time, and maybe, you know, if they're interested, maybe to kind of let us know well in advance, you know, because we're really maxed out this year, you know. It was very popular when it came to the crunch, you know, with the start date. So that's all I've to add. Just
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Thanks very much, Mike. Yeah, no, that's a very popular course. I suppose given that this audience is going beyond just the Blackwater Triathlon Club, I'm sure everybody knows, like the key officers in the club are Niamh Fleming is the chairperson of the club, and has been for the past couple of years, and is very active. And she's ably assisted by Alan Cotter, who's the secretary, and Mike is the treasurer. So they're all very giving of their time freely and do excellent work to make sure this club kind of runs efficiently. And I know we're all very grateful to them, but they're the key members of the club. So just to make sure everybody's aware of that. That's it from the kind of, suppose, the kind of presentation or the lecturing kind of point of view. Is there anybody on who's got kind of questions or suggestions or anything like that? If I can open it up to anybody who has something to share or anything like that. Silence. Very good. Everybody's a very everything. All the questions were answered by the extremely competent speakers. So look, there's we might call it at that. So I think as it's pretty obvious, there's lots and lots on. I'd encourage people to get as involved as they possibly can. I know it's been recorded, so if it is being recorded, encourage people to watch it back and stuff like that. So spread the news, everybody. It's a great club. It's a very active club. And we just would encourage people to be as active as possible within the club and to help out as much as they can. And thanks very much. And thanks to everybody for organising, setting this up. So thanks very much, guys. We'll call it.
Thanks, Dave.